But now we can get on to the actual speakers, which is really exciting. And it's a real pleasure to introduce our first speaker, who, is she on the call? See her? Yeah, who is Sarah Woolley, who is the General Secretary of the Bakers Union. She's the first woman to lead the Bakers Union, the Bakers Food and Allied Workers Union. She's been a trade unionist for many years and currently sits on the executive of the General Federation of Trade Unions. There's a running joke in my household because I'm always talking about how great I think the Bakers Union are. So when my household found out that the General Secretary was speaking on this call, they were like, oh, you're gonna love that, aren't you? I've got a huge amount of respect for the work that the Bakers Union does, particularly working with like low paid workers in this country. And it's a real like personal fangirl moment to have Sarah speaking with us. And she's going to be talking about the really vital role that trade unions must play in the transition to a greener economy. So I'll stop gushing and let her speak. Over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Danny, and thanks for that brilliant introduction. I'm still getting used to being called the General Secretary and being in this situation. I don't necessarily feel like one just yet, but no, thank you for that, and thank you for the invitation to speak today at this incredibly important and timely meeting. The trade union movement has a long and proud tradition of taking and demanding action on the environment. For example, my own union, the Bakers, has a strong anti-fracking position and has for many years. Lots of our activists have spent time over in Preston and other places around the UK demonstrating against fracking companies coming in and destroying their local area. In the last decade, though, it's not been easy to prioritise climate change and environmental issues. We've been having to tackle the impact the pressures that sustained austerity have had on our members, their communities, and the industries that they work in. However, since around 2017, there's been a more focused response as a movement to the climate emergency we are now in. And I think that's in part due to the climate change motion my own union put to the TUC back in 2017, which was historically unanimously voted for across the movement. This has seen a number of trade unions, including my own, educating members, getting them to understand that climate change is a trade union issue. And for our members who work in the food industry, which contributes a massive amount of emissions, it's more important than ever that we work with the employers to make our industry greener, but to also ensure our members don't pay for the changes that are ultimately needed through their terms and conditions, or in fact their jobs. There are many useful booklets and training courses that have been produced across the union movement now, which are designed to help, guide and support members and workplace branches approach the subject of climate change and becoming greener with their employers, and proactively work towards a greener future whilst protecting their terms and conditions. We've been producing green newsletters that offer best practice and ideas to break down this concern that climate change is too big of an issue for one person to fix. So why should I bother even trying? And highlight the things that individuals can do outside of work as well as inside, such as making the right choices when it comes to buying food, choosing local and in season, for example, and I know other unions are doing this too. The global pandemic that we are currently in has been devastating. It is devastating. However, out of it, we have an opportunity. We don't have to go back to how things were. We can't go back to how things were. We deserve better. And we have the ability to build a greener economy going forwards by working together across the union and environmental movements just to do that. In order to do this though, trade unions need to be at the heart of discussions. Our voices need to be heard. We have a massive knowledge, be that around how to create 1 million climate jobs or retaining the skill sets our members have and transitioning them into greener jobs without losing their terms and conditions as a result. We can input ideas based on the knowledge of our members, who are the experts at the jobs that they do, and can communicate with the employer and the membership to ensure that no one is left behind due to any changes that happen and that they are engaged or involved with the process. We've started doing all that already with a few of the employers that we deal with, but for the purpose of today, I will focus on a couple of local ones. SUMA in Elland, the workers' cooperative, is incredibly proactive when it comes to their carbon footprint and operating in a greener way. possibly because of the cooperative nature of the organisation and the products that they deal with. But they're doing this by nurturing a culture of sustainability, providing workshops on packaging waste, highlighting the importance of recycling, having recycling mentors in each department, linking with Waste and Resource Action Programme, or RAP as it's known, utilising their Recycling Week initiative, getting involved in high profile campaigns like the Marine Conservation Society's Plastic Challenge to raise awareness. They're investigating ways to reduce the use of single plastic across the business, aiming for a realistic reduction in energy related transport CO2 emissions, investigating alternative fuel for the fleet, and have a partnership with Tree Responsibility, and plant over 5,000 trees a year. That's just a flavour of the work going on there, with a very active branch involved in the work that's being done, and incredibly proud of the move that they've made. One of the other employers we deal with is Greggs. There are a number of shops in the area, so I thought it would be useful, even though it's a national company and national work that we're doing, to know that the work that's going on behind the scenes there too. Over the last couple of years, we've developed with them environmental courses for our health and safety reps that we now refer to as SHE reps, Safety, Health and Environment. We've trialled them with the national reps, looking at what a carbon footprint is and the understanding around that, because let's be honest, there's a vast amount of people that don't understand what a carbon footprint is, and let alone how to reduce it. We've looked at environmental management, the importance of reducing waste energy, water and food, and we've adapted the health and safety reps to audit to include environmental aspects too. Alongside this, the company works with Refill UK, Surfers Against Sewage, Keep Britain Tidy, and they have also, quite importantly, signed up to the British Retail Consortium's Climate Action Roadmap to reach net zero emissions by 2040. It's some time away. We would have preferred it to be a lot sooner than that, but we're in discussions with them around how we can make that happen together a lot sooner than 2040. In both of these examples, and we have many more up and down the country, the important aspect of the work being done is that we have been involved as a trade union throughout, which in turn involves our members. This alleviates their concerns and worries about the changes and the impacts to them, which is important for any transition to be successful. As a union, our aim is to bring the employers all eventually together that we work with from across the industry, as we are in a unique position to do that as a trade union. We're not a competitor that's trying to pinch ideas. We want to get to a point where they work together to make our industry greener as a collective, because we know it's no good. Greggs, for example, being at net zero emissions, when down the road a smaller business without the resources and contacts they have is pumping out more emissions than ever before as their equipment ages and they can't replace it. Or that the suppliers are. Greggs are net zero, but a supplier that they use is not doing what they need to do. The way that we create change is by working together across different groups, some that we possibly wouldn't normally work with, combining our knowledge and experience, utilising resources that are out there and working together towards a common goal. We know, working with employers, we may not always agree on the route to get there, but we all know that we need bold, radical changes to stop and reverse the damage that has already been done. We also know, as I've mentioned earlier, going back to the norm simply cannot be an option. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak today. I hope that was useful, and I'm more than happy to keep in touch and work with you going forwards on the Green New Deal so that we get there together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That's amazing to hear all the stuff that you guys are doing. And yeah, I'm a huge fangirl of your union's work in general. It's one of the most radical out there, and I think you're doing some really inspiring stuff. So thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.